Hello.
Hello, Ben.
We're doing something. I say slightly different. Something we haven't done in a little while. Would you like to tell the boys and girls and others at home what it is?
Yeah, we're gonna do what we thought about Doctor Who.
Yeah, we've got two episodes, so two videos. Oh, shall we start with the first one, as that's the natural place to begin?
Yes, I think we shall.
Yes. So
Yes,
it's called Space Babies.
yes, it was called Space Babies. There's one thing I want to pick on straight away. Here,
Yeah.
there wasn't a pre-title sequence tease.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I made a point of it in my notes.
Yeah.
These notes right here that you can't see
Yeah.
that I wrote,
Yeah.
but I was just tapping quite loud down. But that it caught me off a little bit. Now, there's just a silly little thing,
Yeah.
but
I picked up on it a little after the fact. I thought, hang on, wait a minute, something's missing. And yeah, but I did notice it. I also,
yeah,
we talked about this briefly before. This morning I checked Reddit and there were reviews,
yeah,
and I thought that was
'cause-
weird. And then, well, I sort of assumed that it was available on like Disney, but it
mm.
turns out, as you pointed out, it's available on iPlayer, which I assume is where you watched them.
That is where I watched them. Yeah,
That sort of bothered me a bit because it sort of removes a lot of the fun, you know?
yeah. I mean, part of the experience growing up, at least watching
Yeah,
Doctor Who, was that it was a specific thing. And the trouble is, we sound like old people here because
we are
back in
old.
our day, when you
Yeah,
had to sit down and tune in every week
you
to
have
watch
no
something,
fancy iPlayer. You had to be there or record it on a video cassette tape, whatever. Yeah, yeah, it did sort of make
well,
me,
I mean, they had Sky recording back then.
yeah, Sky, yeah. Was it called Sky Plus?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it did make me a little bit sad, to be honest, because I would have
Yeah.
just
I
binge
mean,
watched them. But a part of the fun is waiting, and it's like, oh, it's Saturday night, well, 5 minutes, because Strictly or whatever crap is on before it's coming
yeah.
to a close, and you always watch like the last 5, 10 minutes of that because you're eager.
Well, I managed to cut the queue, and I watched it about 20 minutes early.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair. But yes,
Well, I mean, you had the opportunity.
well, I didn't want to because I'm a purist. Yeah.
You're a fool.
mm, Yes, this was. What do you make of it?
The episode.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan.
I wasn't wild about it either.
My exact I wrote this in full caps, underlined it, wasn't a fan. That is
I,
very much my view on the episode is that I'm not a fan of it.
I I do have. Well, I sort of realised part way through, like you're not, you're not really doing anything with the babies, are you? You know,
No, they're
like
just
that.
sort of there.
It could be funny. There is a funny. There's lots of jokes you could make about babies being in charge of spaceships, and because babies and toddlers are weird and funny, you know.
But ultimately it boiled down to
But
bogies and poop.
yeah, they weren't really. That premise wasn't really taken advantage of.
I was expecting there to be a narrative flip where we find out that the babies are evil.
No, I,
About halfway through, I made a note saying evil babies, and
well,
that they use cuteness to subdue their opponents as like a distractionary thing. Because the second they realised it was babies, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have to tell them a story and all that kind of crap," you
yeah.
know. And I thought, well, there's gonna be a flip here. There's got to be a flip here. That's gonna save his episode.
Was it ever,
And then there wasn't,
was it ever explained why they could talk?
because they have been learning because they are older, but they're not growing. So they were born like 6 years ago.
So they're
So there's
6 years
like
old, essentially.
they're six.
Okay, just very smart 6-year-olds in baby form. Why aren't they growing?
I don't know, something to do with the machine breaking, really not having worked properly for the last 6 years because everything
Okay,
fucked off. I
th-
think is that what I took from it. I don't know whether you have to
I
talk to
have
us.
no fucking clue. I think it was during this episode. It might have been during the next one where it's like I remember when science fiction had science in it.
Yeah,
It wasn't just weird shit. I
yeah,
feel
because there
like
wasn't science. I don't think there was a bit of science in the second one,
we'll
but
get to
yeah,
that.
the first
But
one definitely didn't really have much
I don't.
science
I
elements
feel
of
like science
science.
fiction these days is sort of more science fantasy wearing science clothes.
I tell you what, actually, that I didn't write it down, but you know when the airlock was open and it was like oxygen failure, whatever percent,
Yes, I
right?
did.
What the fuck did it start at?
I don't know. Was it 70?
Well, I mean, the first I noticed that they mentioned it was at 10%, right? But it had already been open for a while at that point.
Do you want to
So
discuss? Sorry, go on.
so like at what point was it? Did it start at 100? In which case, that small period of time in which it was open before they said it sucked 90% of the oxygen field away, and then we get just enough tension for the 10%, or did
Well,
it start at like 15 or something? Because
I
you
have
know, I
no
mean, I can
idea.
live with that. But that's like it's just stupid. It's just a silly little fucking
Do you
thing.
want to discuss how there's a button to open the door when the airlock is already open? As if that's not, massively
No, it's a button to
unsafe.
close it.
Yeah, but he opened the door. He could open the
Oh,
door while the
yeah.
airlock was open. That
So the
seems a
door
little
outside the
unsafe.
yeah. Well, I don't know
Yeah.
because it's probably. I mean, yeah, absolutely, it's ridiculously unsafe. But it is possible, nay, even probable, that those parts are prefabricated parts that would sometimes work in an atmosphere. It's probably not bespoke to a space station,
Yeah, but
right?
if you're a person,
Yes.
if you're a human being rather than a Time Lord, and you open that door, you're fucked.
Well, I mean,
Presumably.
realistically, he should have been fucked as well
Well, I don't
because
know.
there he
I
was
just
flattened against the wall and it was sucking him from the side, and he wasn't getting sucked to the side, was he?
no, he wasn't.
You know, where's the
I,
science?
I, yeah, I watched that. I thought this is not how this works, Russell. This is not how any of this works.
I want to save the. Yeah, no, go on.
I
Carry on.
yeah, I just this is an episode that I'm probably gonna forget about. Like you could have done stuff with that premise. Like I remember when they're going through the babies' names. It was
Mm,
like Eric and I don't know
Poppy.
Poppy and Fiona, and just very basic names. It was like you could do. Why don't? Okay, here's an idea. They named themselves. That might be fun. What would a baby call themselves? Would they call themselves something crazy? Wouldn't they? Tee hee, aren't they sweet? No, none of that. Um,
The
uh,
I think it's the nanny filter. I just want to touch on that for a minute because that is obviously something where they deliberately use that as a point of humor.
well,
And the
yes.
first one or two times, I'm like, yeah, that's fair enough. But then they really overdid it. I feel. I feel like they overused the joke.
I'm not sure you even need that character.
No, it could
Really,
have just
you could
been
have
a.
cut that out and just made his baby's in control of a spaceship. It's a fucking miracle they're not dead
But
already. A lot
the trouble
basic
is, so
systems are automated, but
this
you know,
this leads on to my secondary point here that I would another point I wanted to make in that it's quite a political episode.
it's a what? Oh, well, it
Very,
is. I did catch one political. I think two. There's something about refugees. They mention a recession.
oh,
Um,
I see. I didn't write down recession, but you've got
I
the refugee thing.
and then
You've got
the
the recession.
pro-choice, pro-life thing.
Yep, that's the thing. And then there's the whole. It's less political and more social stance at the moment. But the whole self-identity thing and about how they're all individual and they're all great and because of it, and none of this whole being the same as everyone else crap.
Yeah,
Which is a fine message, but the 4 points to go is it came across as quite a politically charged episode to me, and I don't mind a bit of politics in Doctor Who because sometimes it can be fantastic, but sometimes you overdo it by putting too much of it in.
I
And I
think
do feel, and I do feel that this and again the next episode, which we'll go on to later, indicate to me very much that this is a Russell T Davies is making Doctor Who's a very gender identity and sexual orientation themed show in much the same way that Chibnall, who you haven't seen much of his stuff,
any of it.
but Chibnall made it all very environmental
I
related, and
I
just
I disagree.
okay,
I mean, look, I haven't really seen much Doctor Who since Russell T Davies left the first time.
no,
Um, it just, yeah, it just sort of reminded me of standard Doctor Who stuff. You'd have stuff like that in, you know.
oh, no, but that's the thing.
You
It
could
it
take,
wouldn't
you could have,
necessarily be a big deal in as many episodes. Like it would be a thing that would pop up in
I
one, but
don't,
then it would come up a few
I
later, right?
think yeah, I honestly didn't really notice it or think about it. It just seemed like standard Doctor Who fare, those lines, which I'm fine with. Like I have
But this,
zero issue with them whatsoever, but I can imagine there's a lot of people, some right-wing grifters are posting videos saying Doctor Who woke much or something. Woke calamity.
well, I mean,
Woke
yeah,
babies in space.
and the thing is, it is trying to come across as woke.
Is it?
And
I
there's nothing
guess.
wrong with being woke. That's the thing, right?
But I,
Woke is a good thing in the grand scheme of things.
yeah, I don't really. I don't know. It didn't seem any different to anything that has come before. I think maybe it's a context thing, and you're looking at it
I think
differently
with
because of the context of the times rather than what it actually is.
see, I think possibly you having not seen how things definitely haven't come across that way
Mm,
in in the years in between
mm.
might have an impact on your viewpoint.
Probably, probably. I think it's a perspective thing. You're still haunted by the
Yeah.
ghost of Chris Chibnall. Where, as far as I'm concerned, this. I mean, you could put any one of those lines or points or references in any Doctor Who episode I've ever seen, and it would be fine.
Okay, but the thing is, you wouldn't necessarily have 2, 3, 4 episodes on the trot where it's like that.
But you're making it sound like they're shoving it down your throat. They're not.
Well,
It's just like a
I just think
throwaway
there's a
little
lot of.
line.
I feel like there's more emphasis on it than seems representative.
No, I don't know. I don't. I think we have to agree to disagree. To be honest, I
That's
really
fine,
don't.
you
I
know.
really don't see it.
Fair enough.
Okay.
We'll see how the rest of the season
Yeah,
plays out, shall we?
yeah, probably.
Because if this ends up being every episode has got something like that,
But I
then
wouldn't
I
mind.
fucking tell you so.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't even think. I probably wouldn't notice a lot of them. I,
No,
I
but
thought nothing
the
of.
thing is, right, that the reason I enjoy science fiction is because it's meant to be an escape from reality, right? There's meant to be an element of reality to the entire thing, but I don't want to feel like I'm living something that's going on now
But
when I'm
all he
watching
said
sci-fi.
was that so you are an individual. You are important, and there's only one of you, and that's great.
Okay, yes, and that's
I would
fine.
not have even noticed that or given it any more thought than I already did if you had not raised it. I just thought, oh, standard Doctor Who,
Okay,
nice little
if
cutesy
it
message.
hadn't been for the other stuff, I probably wouldn't have made a point of it myself.
But that. What other stuff? They just mentioned refuge. There's a refugee planet,
No, I mean, okay, fine. The reason it stood out to me in this particular episode is because of a refugee thing.
which
But like
again, it was
the
like
big solution,
a
the big
minor.
solution. I mean, it's a refugee thing at a point when we, as a nation, are going through a quote unquote refugee crisis. When we have
But
a
they
quote, oh, genocide. That's another one that got mentioned.
okay. Well,
That's a thing that's
yeah.
going on
All
at the
right.
moment, isn't it?
They mention refugees, but I mean they didn't spend an awful lot of time on it, and it all
No,
right,
I
but
just
it wasn't. Let me finish. Hang on. They didn't labour the point or anything. It was just here is it was a plot point. There's a refugee
okay,
planet. We need to go to it. Um,
but like it's the point where, and you've basically touched on it. You've basically said it yourself. It's a buzzword. It's
What?
become a buzzword for the fucking show, for the episode.
What has?
The fact that these babies are refugees, so get them to a refugee place where they can be safe, but they've got to
It's,
get there themselves.
you are
You
beginning
know,
to sound like one of those right wing grifters who are just taking this point and running with it.
no, but you get what I'm saying. Sure, I've not said anything that's
I,
not
I,
true here.
no, I don't think that was necessarily the intent.
Either it needs to be a big deal, or it doesn't need to be there, right? Ultimately,
What
like
do you
the fact
mean?
that
That's
by having it as such a throwaway, didn't need to be in their thing. You've made it a buzzword.
no, you haven't. It's
Yeah, you absolutely have.
refugees are a thing. It doesn't necessarily need to be political. This reference. It's not even a
Okay,
reference. It's just the fact
but
that hang
but you've
on,
gone from
hang on,
being
hang on. It's it's just it's part of the plot. Here's this system of planets, didn't they say that that's their thing. They take refugees in. This is where we'll get you to. It's not.
okay, but consider for a moment that they've gone from being these babies that aren't actually technically babies, they just look like babies who only exist because they can't turn up because they're not allowed to stop kids from being born, but then don't have to look after them, which is absolutely American right wing domestic policy.
Mm.
Into straight into now these are refugees and we need to get them over to like it's like what, pick a fucking lane, okay, pick a lane
I,
and
I,
stick to it.
okay. You could read it like that, but I don't. I think it's. I think it's fine, man. I think you're going crazy
I
over
think they just
nothing.
threw too much
I just
at
they
the already quite poor concept.
they did. You mean they threw?
They
Look, we're
threw
not
too
going to
much
get
at the
any.
already poor concept, and
They
and
they did not throw too much at it. They did.
how can we make people sympathise with these babies in space even
It was-
more? Okay, let's say there's a recession and they're only here because of abortion law, and let's make them refugees as well. And oh my God, let's put a bogeyman in the base.
I think
You
you're
know,
reading way too much. Okay. I get that, but I think you're getting a bit annoyed over nothing, really. I think
like I said,
that's
if it
just
wasn't for the wider picture, I
Standard
would.
Doctor Who fare. I think.
If it
Um,
wasn't for the wider picture, I don't think I would be that fussed.
I still I
We
well
never had this stuff when it was Moffat. We never had this stuff when it was I know it was still Moffat when it was Capaldi, wasn't it?
yeah.
You know, but it's only really
I
I've only
don't
really
know.
noticed it since Chibnall, and I know this isn't Chibnall now, but I've only really noticed it. I mean, you had the odd one where there was
I
some sort of underlying, vaguely political theme that you could get behind and understand was part of it. But for the most part, they were just fucking sci-fi fantasy stories. Yeah,
yeah, but science fiction has always had an element of
yeah, but that's the thing. It's an element of.
I think this episode was drowning in political subtext. I think you are haunted by the ghost of Chris Chibnall. I think you had such a bad time
Well,
with that series that now every
like I
time.
say,
Hang on,
let's
hang
let's
on.
see how the
I'm
rest of the
not
series
finished my
goes.
sentence. Jesus. Every time it pops up, you get a little bit of PTSD.
Let's see how the rest of the series goes, and then we'll revisit this at the end of the season, shall we? And
Okay.
see how you feel about it.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Honestly,
Okay.
not the episode itself, which I think is sort of bleh. As I say, I
No, but
think
it was shit. I
as
thought.
I didn't think it was shit. I just think it was ultimately forgettable, and they could have gone hell for leather on some funny, cute baby stuff. Little babies running a spaceship, all the weird stuff babies do, you know. And I don't know. I think that could be fun. But
The
he steadfastly refused to do any of that, like any of it, apart from, as you say, the bogies and the nappies, which was, I don't know, that is a staggeringly weird choice because it seems so obvious to me, and he didn't do any of it.
I was expecting one of them to sick up on what's her face Ruby when she picked it up. I don't know which one she picked.
That might have been
Mary.
funny.
It would have been this complete twist from oh my god, is this adorable baby that needs a cuddle?
Yeah,
To oh, let's get this fucking
babies are
baby born now.
loud and annoying
You know,
and get
I
distracted.
could live with that kind of. That would at least be. It makes sense. It'd be relatable, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've got a kid, and we went through that fucking phase.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah. I can I be honest with you?
go ahead.
I don't understand what the boogeyman was. I get that it's like do you want me to tell you where I thought this was going with it?
Yeah, go on.
I thought it was going to be one of those things where like the crew had or the computer had created it, or the crew had created it as like a, you know how they say don't go near the water's edge because there's monsters in there. It's like don't go down to the engine room because there's a monster down there, and the computer had taken it literally or something.
Mm.
I don't I don't get it.
No, it's just it was quite weird, wasn't it? And
I think yeah, that's where I thought they were going with it. But they didn't. It was like babies need stories.
yeah,
Babies
and
need a monster. I have no idea.
here's a question:
Okay.
if the crew left and then the babies were born,
Yeah.
which is what we have to assume. Also, they're taking the babies with them, right?
Yeah.
Then who made the gear and set the gear up so that the babies could control the spaceship?
I don't know.
I don't know either
I
because they're not tall enough.
well, I was gonna say it was gonna be something that they just sort of had about, which is, I mean, possible.
It's possible, but like the rigging and the stuff. Like
The accountant lady must have done that.
I mean, when
I don't know.
they'd have noticed her.
Before they were born.
But how did you... No, I don't. I think it's just there's too many questions as to the logistics of how it works, and maybe that's because we're nerds. right? And we care about that sort of thing. And maybe I just care about it, and you don't. I don't know. But
I
it just doesn't work for me.
I think if you had maybe gotten rid of the nanny character, just had like a computer automated voice thing that was sort of useful, but only at the basics, and just made the kids like just made them really funny, like taking it, as I say, taking advantage of that idea of like babies running a spaceship, all the weird shit they do.
You won't.
I would have
You
really
won't
really
get this.
liked this episode.
You won't. You might not get this because you didn't watch the episode. But one of them should have been called Stormageddon.
Oh yeah, I know that. That's the episode with the awful chubby man, isn't it?
It's one of the episodes with him in. Yes.
Yeah, James
James Corden.
Corden. Yeah, and
Because it was in
the
two.
doctor can speak baby apparently, which maybe should have come up this episode.
Well, A, yes, it should have come up in this episode, and B, considering that, like, why didn't we speak baby? Considering the whole translate things about the TARDIS situation, right? I just
They were okay, whatever. Fair
because they were
point.
probably speaking Cantonese.
They're probably yeah. Um, something else. Did you notice all the very quick "let's get you caught up on Doctor Who" lore stuff at the beginning,
Uh,
where he's talking about you know, it's called it's
oh yeah,
TARDIS,
yeah, that
time and
stuff.
space, blah 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 blah, blah all that stuff.
Yeah, that's for the new fans that are only getting into
I
it
know
because
what
it's
it.
season one.
Yeah,
I should think.
I know what it's for, but it just sort of reminded me of. I mean, it's never gonna. I don't even think there's a good way to get that much exposition out in you know, very easily. I mean, it made me think of Rose, that episode.
It's a bit clunky, isn't it? At times,
I
that
mean,
sort of thing.
yes. Well, Rose did it so much better because it had the advantage of, you know, being away for ages and we had new stuff to catch up on. Like the Time War wasn't a thing,
Hmm.
you know. The entire episode was basically setting up the Doctor.
It did take 10 minutes for her to come back to, you said genocide. Like, she took that word in like nothing.
Mm.
And then it took her 10
Yeah.
minutes to be like, oh, hang on a minute, you said all your people killed each other.
I have another
All
couple
your
of
people died.
I have another couple of questions.
Yep.
So first of all, the Time War, is that still canon? Because I thought they brought that Gallifrey back, and now apparently it's not an issue.
Okay, so what I believe happened is Time War happened.
Yeah.
Gallifrey came back. Gallifrey was then destroyed by the Master and Cybermen in a Whittaker era thing.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I mean, it's Chibnall, isn't it? If you want to blame, if you want to understand why something doesn't make sense, just blame
Well,
Chibnall.
what the fuck was the point of that?
Yeah, exactly. You don't bring something back for the sake of destroying it again.
That's
It'd be like if you were under attack by home invaders right now. I came in to your house. I saved you from the home invaders just to kill you myself. Like, just being fucking ridiculous. What would be the point?
I just think, I mean, I wasn't in favour of bringing Gallifrey back anyway because I think the Time War arc was really great, and
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
I
it
liked
was
the
just
episode it happened
it
in.
was just a case of I
but-
want to play with Time Lords from the people up top, which yeah,
We did get some nice Time Lord content afterwards. Like some of the stuff that happens with Capaldi's Doctor and the Time Lords is informative. Like
yeah.
the lore of him, like the knowledge about what happened with him and his role in the Time War, like the whole
Who?
The Doctor.
All right.
So stuff like the first thing you notice about the Doctor is that he's unarmed, and he's like the most deadly fucking a Time Lord in the war, but like he's never got a fucking weapon with him. Like silly things like that, which it open up the potential for there to be this wonderful backstory that you can either build up in your head or make it ever present. You know,
look, I've said before how much I love the Time War, right? Because I just like the idea that these grand and powerful beings, the Time Lords, face the Daleks and cannot comprehend that something so crude is beating them that they just sort of collapse into insanity. And I love that whole arc thing. And I think the more you know about something like that, the more you ruin it. Like, leave it be.
yeah.
I was really annoyed to see bits of the Time War and they had guns. It's like, no, that feels wrong that a Time Lord would use a gun. You know what I mean?
Well, the Doctor wouldn't.
Well, yeah, but like,
Apart from that few times he did, when he was Tom Baker, and the time he used one when he was David Tennant.
You know what I mean, though, don't you? Like,
Yeah.
it just seems
like,
crude.
If they're gonna have a weapon, you'd think it to be something a bit more
astral or something, you know?
You know, Rather, you don't. Yeah.
Another
That's why we don't fight with spears anymore. You know, because we're so much vastly greater than that nowadays.
well, yeah. Another thing.
Mm.
Apparently, the Doctor's adopted. Is that a timeless child thing?
Yeah. The Doctor
Okay.
wasn't from Gallifrey. Ended up on Gallifrey at some point. Um, it was adopted. Turns out the Doctor's the one who can regenerate. The Time Lords sort of took that on from the Doctor themselves through experimentation and shit. And again, look, Chibnall.
Stop,
Like,
mate.
this is why. This is why people hate Chibnall. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It took for canon. It took what was canon and it ripped it to shreds.
The
And now
fun.
it's a fucking jigsaw. So I don't envy the work that Russell T Davies has to do here. Okay, I understand that he's in a very difficult position to make something that it actually appeals to people who a appreciate the older stuff, b appreciate the older newer stuff from back when he was doing it before, and still somehow try and reconcile it with the Timeless Child and with Flux and all that kind of crap, because that all happens still. Like, none of that is no longer canon. It's just that some of it doesn't. Some of it is now in a new light. Like, that's the trouble with having something that's fucking, what is it, 60, 70 years old?
60 years of canon.
60,
It's difficult.
60 years of canon is difficult to reconcile.
61. 61
well, yeah.
years. Jesus. Almost
Yeah.
61.
So,
I hate that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think
It-
everyone fucking hates it. That's
um,
why do you think Chibnall's not doing the job
It
anymore?
reminds me of the treatment of the Doctor Who movie in the 90s, where they like went into detail of the canon of like there were like three great Time Lords, and one of them discovered regeneration, and one of them discovered time travel, and I can't remember what the other one figured out. I don't know.
One of them worked out how to bang humans and help create the Doctor, right? Because he was half human on his mother's side, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Back then.
I mean it's a bit of a sidetrack, but I think the whole point of the Doctor is that he's just sort of a guy. He's just sort of this bumbling, not bumbling, but the Doctor is not inherently special, right?
He's just the one who survived.
He's just
right?
yeah. Even if you go right back to the classic era, the Doctor is not well regarded by the Time Lords. He's like this weirdo who decided to fuck off and travel around the universe, and they're all a bit like this fucking
Space hobo.
a cosmic hobo, as the second one is called. This sort of, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's referenced at some point that he was not the brightest in his class by a long way, that he was like near the bottom. And the Rani, I think the Rani in one of the Tom Baker ones says that he graduated like near the bottom in the academy, or maybe it's Leela who says that. Lyra, I don't know. Yeah, I just fuck that. Jesus, stop making things special. It doesn't have to be special. It's like during this episode they reference Ruby's being discovered and like how it's a big thing. It's like, oh please, let's not do this. Can't she just be a person?
No, she can't just be a person, because if she was just a person, why would it be her, right? Like, you can't just have boring side characters.
Rose was boring.
No, but that's anymore. Is the key thing. Like, these people have to be a thing. There's a reason why they're the one that's been.
I hate that so much, because isn't the entire point like you're supposed to be able to imagine yourself as a companion, and the whole point of the Doctor Who episodes that I've seen of the early Russell T Davies is that these people became, something greater. They were just sort of average random people who were already inherently great, because we all are in Doctor Who logic, and became something better. And that's annoying.
Depending on your stance, some of them didn't even become great. I mean, look how many people shit on Martha still.
Yeah. Poor Adric. Blew up, but not really.
I want to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Can we still call him the last of the Time Lords? Really? Seeing as two of them are knocking about concurrently.
Who's the other? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you can't really call him the last Time Lords if he was adopted, can you?
Well, no. I mean, yeah, quite right.
I mean, his species isn't Time Lord.
But like, if yeah, very good point. But also, if he and the David Tennant Doctor are still floating about, and we have to assume that until we've heard otherwise, like, okay, yes, fine, they are still the same person, but they're very different people. That's part of the whole thing about regeneration, isn't it? It's a completely different person with a completely different face. It's just the same lineage, as it were.
Mm,
So, I don't think we can say Last of the Time Lords. I
no,
don't think it's a fair statement since they did that.
I think this has gotten messy, and I think maybe you need to sort of wipe some of the canon. Like, let's straighten this shit out. Let's go back. Let's take like an episode arc, 5 episodes, straighten the shit out, get everything back on track, clear out all the stuff you don't fucking need anymore. But
You want to reboot Doctor Who?
yeah, yeah, that's
See,
the word. I want to reboot it. Not massively, just like a minor tidy.
so
Trim the edges.
yeah, I mean, how well did that go down for Star Trek when they rebooted Star Trek?
That's a different universe. It's fine.
I don't know. He wanted to go visit them.
It's a different universe.
He wanted to go visit them at some point.
Yeah, he did mention that, didn't he?
He did.
I read a fan.
This episode, this fucking episode we're talking about.
We talked about this in one of our gaming videos that you probably didn't listen to me when I was prattling on. And I mentioned my ideas for a Star Trek Doctor Who crossover.
I remember it, but it was a while back, so I can't remember the
You
content.
see, they're in
remember
like,
talking about
what year is this episode set in?
21506.
Yeah, and they've got money. Star Trek didn't have no money.
No, but I mean, things come full circle, don't they? And obviously, we know that there's got to be some sort of economy going on because of our station 500,
What?
whatever it was.
What?
The space station, the TV space station from season 1. Platform 5.
Oh yeah, no. Obviously they've got money there. I know that.
No, but like that was distant future, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but
money's still a thing.
Star Trek doesn't have money.
No, I'm talking about
That's
Doctor
the
Who.
joy of it. Yeah, well, yeah.
I remember Star Trek does have money. It's just the Federation doesn't use.
Well, okay, yeah. The
currency.
Federation doesn't have use currency unless they're dealing with species who do.
Yeah, like the Ferengi.
Ferengi, yeah. We have like Latinum that we used to trade with them, obviously, but
yeah.
No recession in fucking Federation space. Thank you.
I bet there's still homeless people though.
No, there's not. It's a utopia. That's the entire point.
I mean, anything can be a utopia from a certain perspective.
It's a utopia. That is the point.
There will be people who believe that our current way of living, ours right now, me and you, that the world we live in, is a utopia.
Those are idiots. I'm not sitting here and defending Star Trek. I'm fed up with people trying to make Star Trek some sort of fucking horrifying dystopia. The entire
I'm
point.
not trying to make it some sort of
I know
dystopia,
you're not.
saying.
I'm just saying the entire point is that it's utopian. That was the vision. That's the joy of it. It's we've sorted all our shit out. There's still terrible things in the galaxy, in the universe, but Earth is doing fucking great. Thank you very much. And I'm not gonna let any fucking wannabe, fucking Joss Whedon neckbeard fucking twat ruin this for me.
I've got another question for you.
Okay.
Fuck was that bit with the butterfly?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. Do you know what my thought was there?
Go on.
That was awfully. I mean, it was awfully strange that he didn't spend any time whatsoever considering the morality of wiping out an entire species.
No, he just did it, didn't he?
That was silly. I didn't like that.
He was just willing to undo the silly little damage
Yeah.
that he'd done by blowing on a butterfly, which is what I mean. Is he fucking Gandalf?
I
now?
don't. I was waiting for him to say, "Well, I just gave away 10 years of my life to a butterfly. That's how that works." It's like, no, it didn't happen. Well, I guess he can just do that. Okay.
It's always butterflies, isn't it? Who didn't Martha say something in the Shakespeare Code about what if I stand on the butterfly? And he's like,
Don't
stand
stand
on
at the butterfly.
Like, fucking, he's calling back to his own fucking work here.
I don't know. It's just silly. What do you think of Ruby and the Doctor's relationship?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's very little risk of it developing into a romantic one. I should think.
No, I wouldn't want them to go down
Which
that
is
route
fine.
again.
We've done it, right? It's happened.
Yeah, I'm bored of that.
We've had the actual romantic relationship. We've had the unrequited love. We've had the
Marriage.
We're absolutely friends, and that is as far as it's ever going to be. Because all I want is a mate, not a mate to mate with, but a mate.
Yeah.
And we've had the 3 stages now. We don't need anything else.
Yeah, I like the vibe of them like 2 friends on a night out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from that. It's more evident in the next episode, I think, but I really like that. But I do feel like something's missing, and I don't know whether it's just like seeing them chat, just like casually.
There's no disagreement between them that I can recall. I've not seen them disagree properly.
That
there was an
might
opportunity
be
for
it.
them to.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity for him to right at the end when he was saying, "Look, I can't take you to wherever, and she looked like she was getting really upset about it and wanted to do it and wanted to argue it. And we should have had that argument. I think we needed to see that argument.
I do. That's probably definitely part of it. I do feel like there's something missing from that relationship that could be.
She hasn't challenged.
It doesn't feel fleshed out. And I
Okay,
like.
maybe that'll come. Maybe that'll
I
come
like it.
next.
I like, as I say, the two friends on a night out sort of angle they appear to be going with it. So that's how I read it from time to time. Yeah. So there's a bit at the end. Oh, also lots of alien vibes with the boogeyman thing. It
Yeah,
looked
there
like a
was
xenomorph, and it went out the airlock.
Yeah, well, it didn't go out the airlock in the end.
It didn't go out the airlock. Bits
It
of
was
it
going
did,
to, but
and then
yeah.
it regenerated. I don't know.
I don't fucking know. It should have lost its legs at least.
Why did they say? I don't know. Why did they save it?
Because it was another baby, basically.
What do you mean it was? It was it?
It was just one of the babies from the thing. It was just that one was bogeyed. Is my understanding.
I have no fucking clue. Maybe I don't know.
It's the same machine that made the babies has made that. So, and it's all genetically speaking, it's still
Full of.
sort of human.
Okay.
I was just fucking.
You know that there
Well,
was
as human as he get at that point in the future, right? Because
there was a bit at the end. Actually, that bit was a lot like Alien 4, where Ripley's
Yeah.
baby's getting sucked out. She looks at it like, and it looks at her like, "Mama, please." Yeah. There was a bit at the end where the Doctor goes back to Ruby's house.
Yep.
And fucks up the ceiling, which is nice of him. I hope he fucking fixed that. I was waiting
It was
for
already a bit fucked up.
two things. I was waiting for a cup of tea reference. She got her tea. I was waiting for her to be like, "I'm still fucking waiting. It's fucking June, or whenever it's set. Probably not. I think it's like Christmas Eve." But he was scanning her, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Scanning
Nothing came out of that at that point.
No, I expected to see something flash up on the screen like shit fucked up or something, you know.
They cut him off mid sentence, didn't they? But my name used to be, and then the door closed, and when we can't hear anything, which is fucking ridiculous because we've heard stuff outside the door.
Yeah,
The door's been closed.
I wasn't listening at that point. I was too busy trying to read what was on screen.
Oh, okay. No,
Do we know the Doctor's name? I think we do.
No, we haven't actually been told it.
Does it matter?
No, it doesn't. Of course, it doesn't matter. His name's the Doctor. You know,
I wish
it's what he goes by. That's his pronoun. That's his chosen pronoun.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the definitive article. So
Yes.
what do we need?
As Tom Baker says.
Is that the whole fucking point?
Is that a deliberate reference to Tom Baker?
What?
Saying I'm not a doctor. I am the Doctor. The definitive article, if you will.
My saying it wasn't. It was because the Meep was the definitive article or whatever it was.
Maybe that was a reference. I don't know.
That may well have been, but
Tom Baker did say that.
That was, yeah.
So yeah, there's probably going to be some stuff with that, with what the deal with Ruby is.
There was because Ruby's not just a normal girl, you know.
Of course, there are no normal girls anymore. No more normal people. No more average.
She's 20. She's a normal woman.
People on the street. Everybody's fucking special. Everybody's got the fucking universe in their heart or something.
I've got one last point on my written notes here.
Yeah.
And it's from back when I wasn't entirely sure what was going on with the babies.
Yeah.
And my immediate I wrote down. I'm going to read it word for word for you. Babies are cheap labor, non-union.
Oh, I want to see that episode where they organise an adorable little strike.
I mean, at the very least, right, in terms of there has to have been some sort of real. They didn't look entirely CG, right? The talking point was probably CG, right? I doubt they trained babies to talk when they wanted to talk.
Well,
but I would say that even from a production standard, it's probably cheaper than getting actual people in, right? Like normal people.
I noticed this. I looked at their faces when they were talking, and they bore so little. The emotions were not the same at all. I mean, they definitely got babies in. Those are real babies. They've got the slightly older voice actors doing the talking, and then they do some minor CG stuff to affect
to make the mouths move.
To make the mouths.
It's like no different to what Disney do with the Lion King, right? When they redid the Lion King.
Oh, well, they made it ugly. Yeah.
You know, it's the same principle. Is that where the Disney money went into making babies talk? Is that what we want from that?
I don't know. Yeah, this is a forgettable episode. Yeah, I guess just summing up what I said before, if they'd made the babies funny in that way that little kids are, an adorable little concept. These kids are in charge of this spaceship, and they've got like I don't even know. You had a kid. They do weird shit, don't they? They do weird,
I, do,
funny
I mean,
things.
there is a funny enough, there is a story from 5 years ago where, shortly after my current partner and I started dating, they were around mine, and he came down the stairs to announce that he had quote pooped on the stairs.
Yes,
So like and that's a story that comes out very often because it's funny, right?
more of
But it's
that,
also a
please,
fucking weird
Disney.
thing.
More of that.
Yeah, make them poop in the elevator, Russell.
Yeah.
We're not asking a lot. Make it real. Make
You
it
don't you
realistic.
don't even need to do that. You just need I don't know, I heard a story about this classroom where the teaching assistant in an attempt to control the little kids like accidentally caused them to start worshipping like an onion. It wasn't an onion, it was like a beanie or something. You know, I remember
Mm.
being little enough. We're all fucking
You
weirdos.
do weird things when you're a kid.
If they,
You
yeah,
know.
weird, funny things.
But in that sense, I started finding the babies on screen, and maybe it's this uncanny valley feeling because of the whole face not looking right thing. But I started finding them annoying and creepy.
I just sort of found them boring and underutilized. I think if they
Well,
made them if they made them funny, I would have really liked the episode. If they'd done something a bit more interesting with the Boogie Monster, I would have found that would have been a bit more. I think some of the science, like
Eric is
the
Eric
airlock's
was overly
fucked up,
attached.
and there's other stuff. But really, that's the crux of it for me. I don't think they utilized the premise very much, and yeah, not a great episode, but not one I hate. It's just one that's just gonna sort of fade away and was pretty disappointing, frankly. I can't imagine why he didn't do that. Like that's so rife for opportunity.
Maybe
Just
he
for
thinks
like
it's a
fun,
cheap laugh.
just
Maybe
for
he
like
just doesn't
funny things.
care.
I don't know. He probably maybe he thought it was beneath him. I don't know. I thought it could have been funny. I thought it could have been cute. You can
I am
make them
not.
all
I'm not
individual
enjoying.
characters and but no.
I'm not enjoying the Russell T Davies return in the way that I was hoping to. And you've mentioned it before, not whilst we were recording, but I do think quite possibly that it is a matter of I have outgrown it.
Maybe.
I think I've outgrown Doctor Who,
I think
and I'm hopeful that's not the case. I hope it's just the few episodes that we've seen since his return have
yeah.
just not been for me, because there has always been a few episodes a season that aren't for you, right?
Oh God,
No one
yeah.
liked Love and Monsters for crying out loud,
It's grown on me ever so slightly now that that episode is really about the Doctor Who fan community. Obviously, everybody knows that. But the
Yeah, no.
Peter Kay's character is apparently based on like some arsehole in the fan community who was like really big and powerful and serious, and like criticized other people's fandom love stuff, which was
Hmm.
interesting. I Yeah, I mean we have talked about that before, and I think we're both reluctant to fall into the trap of saying it was just better back then because I don't
No,
think either one of us believe
because
it.
we were different people back then,
It
so
it got us at the right time,
yeah.
I
Whereas
think.
I feel like what it is now is does not align with who I am as a person now.
Yes, those first four series, not really the specials. The specials weren't great. That last David
You
Tennant
didn't like
just.
Waters of Mars?
I haven't seen it in fucking ages. I might really like
Oh,
it
okay,
again. I don't
fair
know.
enough.
Okay, fuck it. Those 4 years and those specials got me at just the right time and in just the right way. And then I watched the first Matt Smith season, and it just didn't work for me in the same
Actually,
way.
you know what?
And I think
That's the point. Yeah, sorry, finish your point.
And I gave up on that. I think I'm pretty sure. I can't even remember. I remember there was Vampires in Venice, which was about fish, which really disappointed me. And
That was shit.
I remember the Pandorica, um, but I don't remember much else. And I could tell you every single name of those Russell T Davis episodes. And I realized at that point, like this, I've had my time, much like a companion. I had a really good adventure, but now it's kind of time to come to an end, and that's okay. That's not sad. That's
Yeah.
fine. Um, and
It's all about the parting of the ways.
yeah, I'll truck along with this. Because I enjoyed the Christmas one, and we'll get to the next one. Um, so yeah, I'm still sticking it out, but I'm fully aware of the fact it will probably never feel quite the same, and that's okay.
Yeah.
don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
I do. I just want to. You mentioned Matt Smith, and it reminded me. I didn't write it down. There was a brief period of time where I thought that the bogeyman was Prisoner Zero because of the teeth.
Huh.
Just very briefly, I thought, is that Prisoner Zero? Because those teeth look very similar, but they're just standard monster teeth, aren't they? But just
Yes.
like you got only got a handful of different ways that you would really do monster teeth, and yeah, it just happened to be
Yeah.
this
Big
makes sense
sharp
for some
razor
reason.
thing. Yeah. I thought
So, but
when he was looking into what it was made of, he was going to say it was made of poop.
well, I just expected it to just be a mutated fucking human. I didn't think it was going to be anything.
Well, no, it was conjured up, wasn't it, by the computer? Because babies
I
need monsters.
Well, yeah, no, but I
I
was
don't know.
expecting it
My
to be.
explanation was better.
I was expecting it to be the baby's got the education and the monster got the growth, right? So that's why
Yeah.
it's big, but it's not rational. It doesn't. It's not fucking normal. It's this mentally deranged monster because it hasn't had the educational program that came out of the computer. But the ones that have up the top have, but they just haven't grown. They're mentally stimulated, but they've not grown.
I have to say
That's what
both.
I was expecting.
I have to say both of our explanations sort of work a decent bit better than the one we got. But
They
yeah.
do, don't they?
So, what are your final thoughts on the episode? I've given mine.
Yeah, wasn't a fan. I hope that we do. This is not a sign of things to come in terms of quality and content. I am less and less excited for the series as as we go on.
Well, there you go. Well, I think you disliked it more than I did, but generally, I mean, the best that we've said about it, either one of us, is that it's forgettable. I think. I think.
Mm.
So, yeah. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Bye.
Bye.